We all want more fishing rods, but there's thousands to choose from. Which fishing rods are going to help you catch more bass this year? We're going to talk about that.
Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Fish Talk.
Good morning and happy Friday. Guess what? I've got 5 minutes on this time of year, and you know what that means. Boop! It's time to get real. We are talking about bass fishing equipment today. Here's the thing, we've talked about a lot of equipment in the past, but today I really wanted to dumb it down and hone in on the fishing rods that are most needed to catch the most amount of bass in any given location. But that does bring me to one point. Before we do get started here, I want to mention this. You know, depending on where you live in the country, this kind of stuff can vary so much. The reason that I chose top 3 fishing rods is because I feel like pretty much anywhere you go, you kind of need these ones to catch bass. Now, that being said, obviously it can vary a lot, so please do keep that in mind. You know, water clarity, depth, just type of fishing, if there's grass, if there's rocks, that sort of thing. All that can affect what equipment you want to use. So please do use this as kind of the top 3. And then aside from that, if you ever wanted to get more rods like me, I've got like 15 of them, you really want to cater that into your area. So anyways, let's get this thing kick-started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the top 3 in reverse order. So at the very end, we're going to end with the number 1 suggested fishing rod for you. But until then, let's start with number 3. Oh, what's that? I actually have an honorable mention rod. Yeah, I didn't want to make it a top 4 video, so it's an honorable mention. This would really be my number 4 personally, and that is anywhere from a 6'8" to 7' medium, maybe medium heavy rod, most times medium. And what it really is what you're looking for is something to cover down on your moving baits, whether that's crankbaits, spinnerbaits, smaller chatterbaits, that sort of thing. It doesn't necessarily, matter. This rod, I literally throw jerk baits, chatter baits, spinner baits, all sorts of stuff on it, and it just so happens to work quite well. So I love this thing. I always have a high-speed reel on pretty much all of my casting gear, but a high-speed reel here as well. And if you want to present something a little slower, you just got to slow it down and have a little bit of discipline, which I don't have. Anyways, that's my honorable mention. That was fun. Number 3 though, and you've heard me talk about this rod in the past. This is actually really my favorite rod that I have, and this is a 7' heavy action rod with a high-speed reel on it. Wow, I'm very distracted. There's 7' rods everywhere. I don't know what to do. Anyways, this one really covers down on if you have heavy cover, heavy vegetation, you can really pry bass out of that thick stuff. So you kind of do need one of these, I feel like, just so you can really yank them out of cover. Whether you do a 7' or 7'3" or 7'6", just depending on your fishing style, that doesn't necessarily matter, but what you're looking for is something to throw big jigs, Texas rigs, and maybe some occasional, other baits on it, but really it's big single hook baits that you're trying to pry fish out of cover with. So I love this rod, and I've used it a lot, and I've caught a ton of fish on it, and some of my biggest fish have come on this rod here. Okay, what is number 2? Number 2, my friends, yeah, it couldn't be a online outdoorsman video without a spinning rod. Realistically though, everybody needs at least one, I would say. I have 3 that I like to use. This one is basically like, I don't know what length it even is. I think it might be, yeah, it's 6'6". I would say anything from a 6'6" to 7 foot, again, kind of just depending on your fishing style and how you like your equipment. Anywhere from 6'6" to 7 foot, and then you just want a medium action, and you want to spool it up with anywhere from 10 to 20 pound braid with fluorocarbon. What that's going to do is it's really going to cover down on all your wacky rigs. You can do drop shots, you can do shaky heads, you can even throw a Ned rig. So it really covers down on all of your finesse. This one has been a great rod for me. It's very, very versatile. This is actually a pretty cheap rod. I don't even remember. It's a Shimano Convergence, so it's a relatively affordable rod. It's a 2-piece, just so I can have it. I can bring it with me places easy. Most of my rods are 1-piece, but this one happens to be an exception. Regardless, it's not about this specific rod. It's about what purpose it serves, and I think that you really do want to target something like this if you want to catch more bass. Okay, so what is number 1? Number 1 should not be a surprise if you are a hardcore bass fisherman like me, and that noise! Ow, my ears! 7 foot, medium heavy. I think this one actually might be 7'1". Yeah, 7'1", medium heavy rod with a high speed reel. Really what this is going to be is your all around, all purpose rod. I love throwing Texas rigs, smaller jigs, that sort of thing on this, but it can be an open water rod where you're dragging something onto a point. Heck, I have a spinnerbait rigged up right now. It's not necessarily ideal for spinnerbaits, but it did the job, and that's the point. You can bring this with you anywhere you go, and you can throw virtually any bass fishing lure, and you can catch fish. And that's why it really needs to be the first rod that any bass fisherman buys, in my opinion. Now, this is all just my opinion, and like I said at the beginning of this video, this kind of stuff can vary so very much. If you watch my videos, you know that I throw a spinning rod all the time. But that's just because, wow, we actually went 5 minutes. What I was saying is that's just because I know what fishing style I like. I like finesse fishing. As you build up a plethora of fishing rods and fishing gear, you'll kind of decide what you like best and then hone in on an area. But to begin, I feel like those rods will really get you set up in a place where you can kind of figure out what you like fishing best and what works best for you. So with all that being said, I think you know what I'm going to say next, right? Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next time.